You're listening to the Esoterics Podcast. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Esoterics Podcast. I'm Pure Elise, and I'm here with Joe.
Hey, beautiful souls. So I often get asked to talk about the fun subject of channeling and mediumship. So today we're going to dip our toes into that topic.
Oh, very cool. All right, but first let's catch up.
Right, exactly. So what's going on with you, Mama? How are things?
Good. The new moon ceremony I have planned here locally is all booked up.
Wait, you booked out?
Because I'm closing it off at this the 15 spots because I need to be able to do what I have to do with enough time and all the things. So yes.
Okay, that's incredibly exciting. That is so cool. You booked out your first event. That's like really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. It'll be a good time, and I'm just really eager to build out the community here.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah, well, that's always important to have, the community around us right there, in our area.
Yes.
Very, very wonderful. Very wonderful.
Kids are home from school because we're on holiday, and then we just had Super Bowl yesterday, which I mean, do you care? Because honestly, I don't give a shit.
I really don't care. I didn't watch it at all. I didn't watch any of it. I didn't even watch the halftime show because all people fucking do is complain about the halftime show. And listen, I love Chris Stapleton. He is a badass. I love his music and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody had all the bad shit, called Rihanna a demon and all that stuff. But everybody fucking loved Chris Stapleton. What's the difference between the two of them?
It's racism.
I mean,
it's usually. I mean,
and I'm like, I'm not participating in any of that. I'm not participating in any discourse. And as riled up as I just got about it, that's about as riled up as I've gotten about it, because I'm like, fuck these.
I just thought it was cool that she did use the halftime show as her pregnancy announcement.
I know, right? She was like, baby.
I love that. Yeah, because it's like, you know what? You guys keep your stupid pink and blue firecrackers over there. Watch this. Hold my beer.
She's like,
so I loved that for her. Yes, that I loved. That was a highlight for me. Don't care about sports like that.
No, I love Rihanna. I love her. I love her music. I love who she is. I don't give a shit, about any of that stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, really? People are demonizing her because
everything. I mean, if you follow conspiracy theories, every fucking Super Bowl halftime show is an Illuminati worship, whatever act. I don't know.
You know what the best part about conspiracy theories are? Is that the people that believe them and then spout them, they're just, when you believe in a conspiracy theory, it just paints you as this perpetual victim. Like, they're just the biggest fucking crybaby victims. Stupid as shit.
There's a secret group controlling the world. That's why I can never make enough money or whatever. Oh my! It's like, no, it's because you're bad at paying debts.
It's so stupid. I just unfollowed some holistic nutrition account the other day because they dipped their toe into that shit, and I'm like, I am not going to follow you if you're talking. Tell me about nutrition. Tell me about microbes or whatever. But I don't care about how you talk about. I don't care about Pizzagate because it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I unfortunately have to unfollow people periodically because it comes up with just stupid, just asinine things like the most recent one that I saw was about celebrity worship and how celebrity worship is this thing that's infected our culture, it's affected our society, and being so preoccupied, it's the reason why you get locked into consumerism, and because you think you have to own these things and look like these people and do all these things. And it's like, okay, on the one side I understand what you're kind of talking about, but like the whole thing of painting it like it's a disease, like, come
And
on.
it's no fucking different than the 1940s when somebody put up a goddamn pinup poster of a 40 starlet. There's no difference in how people look at celebrities. It's just now with the, with social media and instant messaging and phones and
Yeah.
videos and all that stuff, it's just now
Yeah.
I'm fully believe that people that just have anger, that they're just mad about everything, and everything is a
Mhm.
conspiracy, and the government sucks and the FBI are fake, and all these people, they
Yeah.
legitimately at the core are the most miserable people, and they have nothing going on in their life, and they're just making stuff up. Again, it's that victim mentality. They're victims
Yeah.
of everything. I
Yeah.
mean, I just don't get that. I
Mhm.
just don't get that. It's like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, it's there. And I said the thing, my commentary on it was, before celebrity worship, there was royalty
Thank
worship.
you.
And before royalty worship, there was God worship,
Hmm.
right? There was pagans,
Hmm.
and and there were people sacrificing others for the sake of, pleasing their quote unquote gods.
Right.
So, I mean, some kind of worship of another being has always existed in some form or another. Maybe it's just part of our human nature. I don't
And
know.
it's evolution. I mean, celebrities now are political. Back in the 40s, nobody ever talked about their politics.
Oh
The
no.
50s or the 60s, and now celebrities are political, and they're
Mhm.
using their platform, and it's just there's
Yeah.
more that's exposed, and people are just all
Yeah.
they like to tell celebrities, stick to movies, stick to,
Oh yeah. Stick to movie. Yeah.
it's like, but they're at the
Oh,
core,
it's like,
they're
no,
an
they have an
American citizen,
audience.
and they have the right to their
Yeah.
political beliefs, and they have a platform, and you don't. So,
Sure.
yeah, people are.
Yeah. And they're using it, and if they're using it for good, if they're not fear mongering with it, which, there are some celebrities that do that shit too. Um,
Yeah.
you're not causing harm to someone, then why not? I mean, it's they have an audience, they have a platform.
Yeah.
If they're trying to use it for good, why not? Let them do what they gotta do.
You know who it was? It was somebody that was friends with JP Sears. And JP Sears, that crazy
Oh,
redheaded
Spear, yeah,
weirdo,
Spears. Yeah, he's a
Sears Spirit, yeah.
yeah.
That was somebody who it was that I unfollowed on, it was Instagram, and I was so mad. I was like, I don't want to unfollow
Mhm.
them. I love them, but not if they're friends with like JP weirdo.
Mhm.
And if I'm not mistaken, he it was local here in Portland. So anyway,
Oh, oh, isn't he?
I'm sick right now because so I've got cough drops, and they're creating all that sick saliva, and it's not really
Mm-mm,
sexy,
mm,
but it's
mm.
bronchitis or whatever. And it comes
Don't
with a
worry.
super painful raw cough too.
Great.
I can hear myself
That's the
in our
worst.
headphones. I sound like I'm Barry White. My darling, I just can't get enough of your love, babe. I could probably go deeper if I tried to. So this sexy,
Oh
sultry
man.
voice is not intentional, people, but I am going to take advantage of it. Probably, maybe I'll record a
Record some podcast. Record a meditation.
right, or a yeah, some for a.
Some ASMR.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing that I've been seeing pop up on my social media thing, I'm on cancel George Lopez TikTok,
Oh my god.
which
Okay, why?
which I'm on board with, because I will tell you, he's not a good person.
Oh, I've heard that about George Lopez. He's stupid.
Yeah, well, he's the one who took a kidney from his ex-wife. Like, she donated her one of her kidneys because he literally wasn't going to live without one. And she saved his life with the kidney, and then he was cheating on her before, allegedly, but he was cheated on her after, got caught, and then they got a divorce. So it's like, well, that's awful.
Mm,
So that I mean, that's just one of many other
of the
things, but
things.
the whole thing he's being called out for is because there's this other comedian, this young guy, his last name's Barbosa. And he basically is saying like, oh, well, who is that guy? Why are you talking about him? He has gotta make his own path. Like, I I'm not helping him, basically. It's like, I'm not gonna give him a hand. Like, why are you talking about him? Nobody knows who he is. Nobody cares. And just being a hater.
Yeah.
And then it comes out that the more stuff are along those lines. Um, One that when he booked a casino out here in Palm Desert, he told them, if I'm being booked, you cannot book any other Latino artists. No other Latino comedians can be on payroll or whatever.
Is it
And it's like,
during the same
why?
event?
Yeah,
Yeah.
during the at the same time. It's like, why are you such a hater for your own people? Like, why are you like crabs in a bucket? Like, you're just trying to keep everyone down. Like, it's unreal.
What? Crabs in a bucket because they crawl on top and push other crabs down when they
Yeah,
can't get out.
cause a fisherman,
Mhm.
cause a fisherman can leave a bucket of crabs unattended,
Mhm.
because when one tries to escape, the other ones pull him down.
Mhm. Stupid
Yeah.
crab, stupid George Lopez. So what's the name of the? It's remove George Lopez from TikTok. That's what it
It's
is.
no, it's just like, it's just
Oh,
canceled George
cancel George
Lopez.
Lopez. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know what? You reap what you sow,
Right.
is what I'm saying. So,
Right.
even kind of circling back on the on the Super Bowl halftime show, there was this thing that happened when, was it 3 years ago, when J Lo, it was J Lo and Shakira
I believe
that
so.
performed the
I
halftime
believe
show.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during that time when they were interviewing J Lo, she would say some like underhanded, like backhanded compliments to Shakira.
Uh,
Like, basically, yeah, like she was not happy about having to share the
I've
stage.
heard that J Lo is not a great person. I mean, and honestly, I think
Mm.
Ben Affleck is a drunk. He looks, and he looks like he has that alcoholic face. So, and I don't know,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I'm just
Yeah.
celebrity gossiping,
So
but
so it's funny because there are all these posts talking about, like, yeah, that was the best halftime show with Shakira and J-Lo. And then there was people in the comments was like, it should have been just Shakira. And like, and
oh,
then there was one comment in there who was like, why is everyone hating on J-Lo? And this is where I stepped in. I was like, no one's hating on J-Lo. They're just returning J-Lo's energy right back to her, because that's the
right,
same energy she had when she was prepping for this show.
right, and
So it's like, yeah, you reap what you
yeah,
sow.
yeah, yeah. I don't. I mean, I like J Lo, but I mean, I like her as an actress. But
Mhm.
as a celebrity, I just think she's not interesting to me, and I'm not a fan of
I
her.
don't
But
know,
I've heard so many
man.
times that, yeah, that she's kind of a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the type that you can't talk to her if you, or if like she's coming into a venue and like you work there,
Hmm.
you're not allowed to talk to her. You can't look at her. You have to speak only to her assistant. Like, she's that
I
type.
don't understand that. I know that there are celebrities out there that are accused of that all the time, and I guess I don't understand. Like, what is it that is so awful? I mean, is it because every single person that meets you or wants to talk to you wants something of you, or they're fawning over you or something? Like, is that legit? Like,
Yeah.
are these legitimate energetic boundaries, or are these like just I'm just a douchebag, so and I can be, so now I'm gonna just be
Mhm.
openly?
I think it's two. I think it's number two. Because I think if somebody works there, like somebody works at the venue, like you're already prepped at work, where it's like, okay, this person is, it's the artist. And so we respect them to, to an extent. But like, what's wrong with like saying like hi and keep, going on about your
Uh-uh.
day, not interrupting them, not asking them for an autograph, because you're
You're at
there to
work
do
and she's
a
there.
job.
Yeah.
You're at work, and she's also there to work. So
Right.
like, yeah, there are certain things that are common sense.
Hmm.
But so there's nothing wrong with saying like, okay, yeah, if you work here, if you work at this stadium, like, you're not allowed to approach her for an autograph. But that's it. Like, you can leave it at that. You don't have to be like, oh, don't look at her,
Mm-mm.
don't talk to her, don't speak to her. Like, that's
It's
ridiculous.
it's ridiculous. And if you read about all of the love that Keanu Reeves gets from,
I
simple
know.
things like, he'll strike up a conversation with somebody and then take pictures with them and talk to them and
Yes.
ask them about their life. Like, you hear about the
Yeah.
the difference in celebrities, and you're like, now, what does it hurt to say? Because I would assume that anybody with any inclinations of fame, their first priority or their first thought when chasing that fame would be, I want as many people to know who I am as possible, to be my fans, that sort of thing. But in order
Yeah.
to, you have to nurture that fan relationship, I would assume. Listen, I do not seek celebrity. I would not want to be a celebrity. It's
Yeah, it comes with a lot
just,
of shit, I'm sure.
all, it's just awful, and people are awful to you. And um
Mhm.
just
Mhm.
even just internet trolls, you know what I mean? Oh my god, there was this
Yeah.
girl and she had a skin, she had something wrong with her skin, but and
Mhm.
she had an
Mhm.
unusual looking face, we'll just say. It was one of those faces
Yeah.
where you're like, oh well, god bless you, lady. But she did a tutorial and she
Oh.
put some makeup on it, she came away, she was a
Mhm.
fucking bombshell. And I was like, oh
Yeah.
my god. um,
Yeah.
and people were so goddamn mean to her in the comments
Ugh.
about what she looked like before the makeup. Again, she was
Yeah.
strikingly
Of course.
unusual looking, we'll just say. But god damn,
Yeah.
after that makeup, she was stunning. And so I just don't understand why people are mean. People are mean. Listen,
People are so
they're
mean.
so mean.
Like,
They're awful.
okay, I have a soft spot for Chris Evans.
Yeah, he's got pretty eyes.
So, yeah, he's just a really nice human being all the way
Mhm.
around. He's a good actor, and like personally, I just love the Captain America character.
Yeah,
But
and he has
anyway,
a nice
so
ass.
he dated America's
Yeah,
ass. So he dated Jenny Slate, the comedian,
yeah.
and she's I mean, I think she's a cute girl, but his fans tore her apart. Like, they internet trolled her so hard where they ended up breaking up because of the
Oh,
way that she was. It was so hard. Like, I'm like, that is the worst in people. Sometimes I feel like the ability to just type out whatever the hell you want with no regard, with no consequence to what you're saying, it just allows people to be the worst of
you know
themselves.
what? And honestly, it's all just jealousy because people have this idea of what a man and woman should look like when they're together, right? The woman
Mhm.
can't be less pretty than the man, and vice versa, right? But
Right,
it's a
right.
different um it's different for women. Women have to be considered attractive. There's a couple I follow on Instagram, and she's a plus size woman, and he's a
Mhm.
fucking hottie, man. And he
Mhm.
loves her, and they are happy.
Yes.
Listen, in a
Mhm.
related topic, I have been putting myself out there, right? And I'm gonna tell you some stories, and you're gonna be proud of me because you're Fiora is like, what are you doing to put yourself out there? I'm like, I don't know. And she's like, well, you're not gonna get any fucking man sitting in your house. And I'm like, all right, fine. All right. I hope my fucking man is hotter than shit. And I'm gonna be like, "Mm, too bad for you. Too bad for you, you hating bitch. Hating assholes. All right, anyway, so listen. So I joined a few meetup sites. Okay, meetup
Mhm.
for single
Yes.
adults over 40, just for the connection, the aspect of fun. I'm not trying to go in there and be like, I'm looking for a guy, because I'm not. You know my story about my future, and I'm not looking
Yes.
for anybody. Okay, so,
Yes.
but here's the problem. The last one that I went to a year or so ago. It was absolutely awful, and it was filled with men who had the kind of goffle freaking social skills that cannot be chalked up to nervousness or shyness. Okay. They were talking over us. They were interrupting. They were doing that mansplaining shit. They were generally like trying to outdo the other with their, stupid prehistoric mating
Of
rituals,
course.
right? So
Of
honestly,
course.
I literally slammed the rest of my drink and bounced. I was like, fuck off, you observably douchey dudes. I was like, I'm out of there.
Mm.
And I was with my friend. I was with a friend, and I was like, let's go, man. I'm not doing this anymore. So there
Eh.
was the first time where I'm like, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to see,
Mhm.
what this is. And the other thing, it was a group for people that are new to Portland, but it was run by this
Yeah.
dude that had been here like 15 years. And I'm like, how? You're not new? Like, what?
Well, is he your concierge? Like, you guys gotta
No,
go here and try this.
no. He was awful. He was the over talker. All right.
Oh, maybe he's, like, trying to, like, prey on new
Right.
women
That
coming into Portland,
yes.
and he can because he already, like, went through the locals.
Ugh. Right? That's what I was like. I was like, "Why? You're a creepy, icky, icker." Sorry. So
Weird.
this time around, I decided to do something that I've been wanting to do, right?
Mhm.
Really being in the energy of putting myself out there. I decided I
Yeah.
wanted to do something that I've been wanting to do but haven't ever gone because I didn't have anybody to go with. I went to the Portland Night Market, which is this super cool market. It's like 50 or so makers of super cool stuff, really cool stuff,
Mhm.
candles and jewelry and little food stuffs and art and clothing, just really cool. And then they
Yeah.
had live music and they had some super dope food trucks. I mean,
Oh,
all right,
cool.
so I went there and I dude, I put myself out there. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, I'm an adventurous chick and I love the energy of a crowd, but this was worse. This was worse than like smelling Bigfoot's dick. It was awful. There were so many people. It was crowded and people were cranky and you couldn't get through and you were just stuck standing there and it was just I was like, "Oh my god, this is not." So anyway, so I was discouraged because I'm
Mm-mm.
like, here I am trying to do this, and then I was disappointed. I just wanted to get out of there. I was like, this is not working. So honestly, putting yourself out there in anybody else that's single can, no matter what age, can relate to this. It's goddamn hard. And I hate it because I know everyone says you can't find your person when you're in your comfort zone. But I also can't find them in a crowded fucking shit show of 30
Yeah.
somethings or at a bingo night
Yeah.
with boomers. Like, what do I do? Where do I go? I'm struggling with it all, but I'm really just trying to
Yeah.
keep my intention grounded in the positive, that he's out there. He already is meant for me. The universe will move fucking mountains to get us in the right moment, together. I mean,
Yeah.
to have faith and all that shit. So,
Yeah.
um,
Um, what about, like, outdoor groups? I know when I first moved to, like, well, we briefly lived in, like, the Covina San Dimas
mhm,
area. I had joined a hiking
mhm,
group, and then I joined a walking
yeah.
group because I was like, hiking I at the time, I was like, "Hiking sounds hard.
Right.
So let's just join a walking group
Right.
first." And it was
Mhm,
it was sweet. I did go a couple of times, but it was all, like,
mhm.
ladies, like, older ladies, retired
Which
ladies
is
and
fine because
stuff,
it's
and I was
about
like
my
the young
speed.
I was like the youngest one there. But I think those are probably not a bad idea because then you could, like, if they have, like, a single son or something, they could be like, "Hey,"
Sure.
you know,
Hey.
it might be a way to meet people. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's something about just, like, meeting someone in, like, I don't know, a coffee shop. Do people do that? I avoid people. Like, I put headphones on because I'm not trying to go out there and, like, meet anyone or
Mm-mm.
even, like, make friends. Like, I'm cool. Um, I would like to be more open in that way, though, like, just to be more friendly. I'm trying. Um,
I mean, there's something to be said for it. So, all right. So this is my plan. My plan is, I
okay.
reach out to my neighbor Jen, who's a Gemini, and Jen can
Uh-huh.
fucking strike up a conversation with a tree stump. I swear to God, and she's
Yeah.
engaging because she's a goddamn
Yeah.
Gemini. And
Yeah.
so this is good because I'm not looking for, to just pick somebody up, but
Mhm.
I would
Mhm.
like to, broaden my connection here. And
Yeah.
she's looking for her person. So we're going to talk about what that looks like, how we can like help each other or be each other's,
Okay.
like going together places that we wouldn't ordinarily go so that we have somebody
Okay.
there, but that we're also there to like step outside of our comfort zone. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Talk to new people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just something like that, which I think that that's important. So,
I think if you go into the world with the thought of everyone knows something you don't know and I can learn something from someone and you go in there with that
yeah.
curiosity, I feel like that opens you up in ways where it's like you're not there to get anything from a person necessarily. You're just there to like learn,
Yeah.
and that's it. And I think people are very receptive to that. Um, that because people like talking about themselves, they do.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll find yourself in a conversation with someone who like wants to do nothing but talk to themselves, and they don't ask you shit about yourself.
Right.
but
Mhm.
but that's where maybe you use your discernment and you kind of use your gut a little bit as you're traversing the place that you're in, and you're like, oh well, that person kind of seems nice, and then you make your way over there.
Exactly, and that would be my intention, is to get to know somebody, find out who they
Hmm.
are. You know what I mean? I'm a psychic. I like to
Hmm.
dig. I like to read people. I
Yes,
like to read their energy. I like to ask questions that where
me
they
too.
talk about
Hmm.
themselves. Um, but there's also, here's an issue with this is an issue. One of the problems with being psychic is that you're also I also, as an empath and a psychic, pick up resistance. And what is that resistance in? I'm not
Yes.
attracted to you. I don't want to date you. And so, therefore, they're completely missing out on the opportunity to just connect with somebody at a friend level.
Right.
As a psychic,
Right.
when I pick up on that, I'm like, number one, I'm like, well, I don't fucking necessarily want to date you either, dude. Or, so, what is the, and then we pull back. We're like, all right, well, that's a lost cause, which that's fine. I'm not going to give my
Hmm.
energy to somebody that isn't, but it's just harder when you're an empath because you can feel that. And it's like, damn it,
Yes.
why can't I just go into this group of people with no expectations and I just want to meet cool people? But
Yeah.
that's just not a thing with some of these meetup groups. So I'm being very particular about the meetup groups that I join. And also, I don't want to be stuck in another
Yes.
mansplaining situation where I have to slam my drink and peace out.
Leave. Yeah.
Do you have any announcements?
Yes, I do. We have two more spots open for our Journey Within, and this is taking place in Newaygo, Michigan on June 23rd through 25th. That is a weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And this retreat will be plant medicine assisted. For full details and to fill out an interest form, you can find the link in the show notes or go to esotericspodcast.com/events.
Excellent. Two spots left. All right. So, who are the two that are out there that are going to snap this up? It's going to be a good time. We're going to have some, oh my gosh, guided meditations. We're going to have limpias and
Yes.
introspection and just connections and creative,
Yes.
all sorts of cool
Creative
things.
time and yummy
And
foods.
yummy and yummy foods. Yes, right. Very yummy, vegan, vegetarian, yummy stuff.
Hmm.
Um, I want to announce that my custom intuitive designs are closing for the time being.
Oh,
Um, it's it's still open through, I think, like the 20th of February, so there's still some time, not much time to get your interest in. Um, I'm not sure when I'll feel called to start doing them again. I love doing them. They're
okay.
beautiful, they're amazing, but right now I'm being pulled to um, launch lines of jewelry and also
Okay.
do like an everyday line. So that's going to take up my time. Plus, the intuitive designs are something very, very special, very, very specific.
Yes.
They're, yeah, they're very, 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 well, special, but I don't really know how to expand on that other than, they're unique and
They're very tailored.
they're tailored. They take a lot of time. And I want to put my energy someplace else for now. So I'll bring them
Hmm.
back. Hopefully, I'll bring them back at a time when I have more leisure time, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. So, um, yeah, but I'll creating everyday jewelry with a larger inventory. So there's still going to be lots of jewelry to purchase.
Awesome.
Oh,
All right. Is that it? Are you ready to get into today's
yeah,
topic?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Cool.
All right. So today we're going to talk about mediumship and channeling. Everybody is always really excited about this topic. So let me just really quickly adjust my screen here. All right. So let's start with mediumship.
Okay.
So people are drawn to mediums for their ability to connect to the spiritual realm because they're typically looking to get a message from like deceased relatives or loved ones or spirit guides, angels, various assorted light beings, right? And
Mhm.
mediums are also referred to as channels. I say this: if you're a medium, you're a channel. If you're a channel, you're a medium. Same thing. But there
Okay.
actually is a slight difference, and I just want to talk about what those differences are. So, the majority of mediums are mental mediums. And mental mediums receive information or communication through one or more of their clear senses, right? Clairvoyance, though, tends to be the strongest with many. So,
Okay.
do you ever watch Tyler Henry? I
Yes.
love him. He's my
Mhm.
favorite.
Yeah.
He is a clairvoyant medium, but he also has a medical intuitive ability.
Mm.
James Van Praagh, who's one of my others, he can actually see spirits walking around with like his naked eye, which I think is really cool and is also very rare. Not a lot
Yeah.
of people can do that.
Yeah.
And then others like myself see spirit in our mind's eye, but also see the presence of spirit in our periphery. So, like I can see sparkies, I can
Mm.
see things in my periphery, and then when you look, they're gone. It's very weird, and I mostly see them in nature, which I believe it are I'm seeing the elementals, fairies, fae, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I see them all the time when I'm out. Right, but the problem with mediumship is that fear and ignorance run really deep. So some associate connecting to spirit as like messing with demons, demons like
Right.
Rihanna, which is nonsense, right? I mean, and honestly, that's just based in the fact that, throughout history, anybody who tapped into their intuitive and psychic abilities, they were considered witches by, Christian religions, or I guess just
Yeah.
any religion, right?
Yeah. Even though there's there's a lot of hypocrisy in that in itself because it's like but we are okay and we accept the idea that priests or fathers, these leaders of churches, that they talk to God. But if you talk to God, you're probably talking to a demon. It's like what makes him so special?
Right. That's the first thing when I was younger. I was like, "Wait, what? Only Catholic priests can talk to God? That's bullshit cuz God is like, that was the first thing that made me go, "Well, this doesn't sound right."
Yeah.
And then the sad part is that many of those healers were killed in the name of God because of ignorance and fear, the very thing that God is not down with, right? That's that
Yeah.
vengeful, evil God that organized religion uses as a weapon that is not a thing. And you know me, you know how I feel about the Bible. If you've been listening to this podcast, the Bible has it all fucking wrong because it wasn't written by God. It was written by men, and
And they excluded a bunch of shit in it out of it too.
mm-hmm,
Like that's the other thing is it's not even a complete thought
mm-mm,
really if
no.
you want to be specific.
So anyway, ignorance and a need to control the intuitive arts, it runs deep within most fear-based religions. All right, so look at mediumship. If you have any fear of it or any questions about it, look at it from the beautiful outcome. Okay, mediums are a
Yeah.
bridge between the spirit world and our world, and they connect us, or not even they, but just connecting somebody to a deceased loved one, an angel, or a spirit guide, assisting you on your path. That is connecting you with love. You're being connected with the purest form of love, and that love has no judgment or labels. It has no rules. You have to be this or do this in order to receive this love. It is just pure open love. I don't understand how that can
Yeah.
be demonic.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Mm-mm.
not. It's just because it's people want to put their own spin on it.
Right, right. um all right, so the other thing is that many of you know that my vibe does not jive with negative spiritual energies. It's just my particular spiritual path. I don't have to worry about those things.
Mm.
So I'm not negating anybody who believes, or I'm not saying that there are no negative entities that exist on other planes.
Yeah.
But I just think that when you look at what is evil, um,
Hmm.
to me, that's smugly and intentionally wishing the condemnation of a human soul to some form of like eternal suffering simply because your book says so. Like that's what evil
Yeah.
is to me.
Yeah.
So, um, anyway, so what I'm saying is that just as there are negative energy around us in our lives, energy
Yes.
vampires, or just jerks, right? Um, there are similar negative energies that exist in the spiritual realm. So, all that
Mhm.
said, mediums who are the real deal, or mediums with real abilities,
Uh-huh.
they set powerful intentions to only connect with the highest vibrational beings of love and divine healing.
Okay.
And, once you get to a point where you're like, oh shit, I'm connecting with spirits, you bet your ass you're going to connect those, you're going to set those powerful intentions, because you're not trying to connect with, negative entities or earthbound spirits. Um,
Yeah.
Unless there's a reason behind them, right? Or they're looking for help or something like that.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So it matters how you use your intuitive abilities, because what happens is that spirit, as a medium, spirit blends with our soul. Okay, not our spirit
Uh-huh.
body, not our physical body, but our soul, our
Mhm.
energy, our aura.
Mhm.
And this is how we communicate and interact with them. So when you develop your abilities using a daily practice, that ability to connect grows stronger every day. So if
Mhm.
your intention is to connect with only those of the highest love, this is exactly the experience that you'll have. Okay. So
Okay.
best practices and intention are always important and an integral part of the process. So that's just really important for me to stress when talking about
Yeah.
mediumship and channeling, that it's like the infinity symbol. What you put into it, you'll get out of it. And if you put fear into it, you're going to get
Okay.
fear out of it.
That makes sense because that's what I always question about people who are out here claiming to be mediums and then they're over here channeling these weird ass messages talking about how Trump is a light worker and these people are reptiles and they want to eat our children and all this stuff, and they're like, and I channeled this message from whatever my spirit guides or whatever the hell they say. Or some of them are like, I channeled this message from Jesus himself, and it's like,
Yeshua.
Jesus wouldn't fearmonger. Relax.
That's the best part, right? Okay, now here's my opinion on Trump. Okay, so you already know that I think he's garbage, but I do believe that this is his sole purpose. This is his sole path, because I've always wondered,
Hmm.
how can these people have ambivalence? How can these MAGA Republicans, and they're not even Republicans, I don't even call them Republicans, because,
No,
Republicans
they're
they have a legitimate, conservative political whatever,
sure.
right? But MAGA, these MAGA, whatever they are, how can they be so cold hearted? Like DeSantis, who sent those immigrants
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
Connecticut. These poor people
Yeah,
just wanted a new lease
and
on life. And he's like, I'm
yeah,
going to use them and send them.
yeah, and Abbott did
Abbott,
too. Hmm.
just these
Yeah.
garbage human beings. What is it about them? So honestly, I took it into meditation one day and spirit came back and they were like, we have our mindset. We have the archetype that we are living in order to
Hmm.
experience a certain, to have an experience, but also to help evolve. They do too. So literally, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and all those crazy, they're programmed
Hmm.
that way. There is no fixing them. That is who they are, because that is their sole purpose and that is their life path. And it's the same with Trump. There is no fixing him. Like, he is the way he is
Yeah.
because he has a very specific role to play. We just
Hmm.
don't really care for the role, right?
Right.
So
Right.
that
Right.
was a super interesting one, and I was like, well, that explains everything, but it certainly
But it doesn't make it any
doesn't
better.
make it any better. No.
No.
All right. Mediumship and channeling. Back to mediumship and channeling. When receiving messages through
Yes.
your clair abilities, first off, know what you're using. Most people do, but I just want to touch on them super quick. Clair
Hmm.
audience is when you hear spirit with your inner hearing, and in rare cases, you might hear with your external hearing.
Okay.
Claircognizance is when you intuitively and instinctually know the truth of something. You don't know how you know, you just know.
Uh-huh.
Clairsentience is when you sense the truth of the situation. You feel it as a sensation
Mm.
or an emotion. Empaths are clairsentience, and I say this a lot. I'm sensing this. I'm sensing that. Um, and you really, it's often accompanied by images of clairvoyance. I don't know why the two work together. They do for me. I don't know, but some people they do. And then
Yeah.
clairvoyance is when you see images or symbols in your mind's eye. or using your inner seeing. And you can also see with your naked eye too. There is some external seeing. Like I said, you see sparkies. Like I see those sparkies are in my periphery.
Mhm.
Um, but clairvoyance is probably the most predominant one. And a lot of people are like, I can't use my, I don't see my clairvoyance, or my clairvoyance isn't developed. But it's actually one
Uh-huh.
of the most common. It's just that you don't understand that what you're seeing is actually clairvoyance. So I want to break it
Uh,
down.
okay.
So you're going to see scenes and pictures in your head that sort of validate maybe a thought or whatever. When
Mhm.
you have a thought and it pops into your head, and then you see something in your head, that's clairvoyance. When you see a symbol, when you see recurring numbers, when you see auras, when you see, all of that stuff, that's all clairvoyance.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
the other thing is that you have a strong ability to visualize. If you can visualize, a lot of people say, I can't really visualize. Well, all visualization is just remembering. That's all it is. So if
Mhm.
you can like
Mhm.
close your eyes and remember that time when you were like, 13 and you were at, the beach or the park or whatever,
Yeah.
that's visualization. So it's
Okay.
really good to learn to master that, because visualization is the key to manifestation.
Yes.
All right,
Yes.
so psychics and mediums. All right, so whether you refer to yourself as a psychic medium, a spiritual medium, or an intuitive medium, or any other label, they're all about essentially the same thing, right? They all communicate with spirit, but there are slight
Mhm.
differences. So let's talk about those, because a psychic is not necessarily a medium, but a medium is a psychic. And so it's important to understand those differences. And I know I've talked about this before, but it's always good to go over it again.
Yeah.
And here's the easiest way: psychics perceive and mediums receive. Psychics perceive, sense, clairsentience, that sort of thing.
Okay. Okay.
Mediums receive clairaudience, clairvoyance, I guess. All right, so
Okay.
let's start with the psychics. Psychics can read the energies of a person or place. So
Yes.
they're perceiving, they're getting the information, they're receiving information from spiritual realm, but they're not actually communicating with the spirits in the way that mediums do.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
a psychic has the ability to see what's going on, help people make sense of their energy, reading their energy field. That's why psychics um, are able to access more details, because they're actually reading actual energy. um,
Okay.
they also have really good insight into things. um,
Yeah.
it's again psychic. Psychics are
Yeah.
badass. But the key is or sometimes they tell, is that they typically remain unemotional and somewhat disconnected to any feelings that are connected to the subject that they're receiving information about. A little bit more ambivalent, because they're not actually experiencing or connecting with the emotions. Now,
Okay.
mediums, on the other hand, the most common form of mediumship is mental mediumship out there. I think I said that earlier. And when you use any of your four clairs, that's the most common form, right? Mediums are typically
Uh-huh.
strongest in one of those abilities, but then they have the skills in all of the other ones. They just sort of layer each other. So, what the
Got it.
medium does is it can communicate with spirit, but it can't influence the spirit. So, it's just receiving, they're just receiving. Well, they're simply messengers who tune into the energy surrounding that person, and then they get
Yeah.
information that they are, can be like invalidated by the person that they're reading for. But here's the thing:
Uh-huh.
how do they do that? The spirit uses telepathy. It impresses the mind with thoughts and feelings that come through their clair abilities. So, see where it's different from a psychic than a medium?
Um Yeah, it's like one's like a
Yeah,
transmitter, like they're like a radio, they're transmitting this information, and then the other one's like actually be able to like read a book, read the language,
yeah,
understand what they're seeing and speak to
yeah,
it.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Huh.
so that's the difference. But there are different types of mental mediums now, of course, just to
Mhm.
dive a tiny little bit deeper into it. So we have evidential mediums.
Mhm.
And evidential mediums, they can provide like validating evidence. So if I'm reading somebody and a loved one comes through, and I'll ask the loved one, how did you die? So that
Yeah.
the person that I'm reading knows, and typically they'll show me, um,
Okay.
some sort of scene or something. So they'll use clairvoyance, and then I'll say, did your
Okay.
person die from this? And they'll say yes, and I'll be like, well, that's them. You can also ask them questions, or you can describe like their personality. You can ask them their name or the initial. You can ask them how they pass. That's what I do. You can ask them about
Mhm.
hobbies and stuff, family, which that's not as, for me, that's not where I get my quick. It's mostly the personality will come through first, and then I'll ask them how they passed, and then I'll ask for a name or initial.
Okay.
All right, now spiritual mediums, they connect to spirit guides, guardians, and angels. So I am more of a spiritual medium, but I am working on developing my evidential. It's just a lot more work if you ask me. But spiritual mediums, they just want to deliver messages of love and all that good stuff. So
Mhm.
they're also there to make sure that you're staying in alignment with the goals of your soul. They have the ability. Um, well, spiritual mediums can um, connect with those loved ones just like the evidential is you tend to not get as specific information when unless you ask.
Mhm.
um, Honestly, it's semantics. It just depends on how you use your abilities.
Okay.
Then there's mental telepathy, and that's the process of transferring your thoughts from your mind to someone else's. So that's how spirit actually works. Spirit will give you their thoughts, and they'll say, here, this, and that's how like those emotions and personality comes through.
Uh,
Telepathy is a skill, and it takes time to perfect, but the more you play with it, the stronger it gets. But I think I've said several times that mine is just weird, and it just pops it at the craziest times, and I haven't done anything to really perfect it, but it is really cool.
yeah, my parents had a lot of telepathy between the two of them,
Yes, it
which I thought was
happens.
interesting. Yeah, I can see that.
Do you have any?
I can see that developing with like a loved one.
Yes. Do you have any with anybody? You have telepathy with your husband?
No, because we have smartphones now. Because that's the thing is like my parents had telepathy because they didn't, we didn't have
Mhm.
smartphones. So I remember they would come home from work, around the same time, or one of them would get home after another. And be like, "Oh, you read my mind.
Mhm.
I was gonna tell you. I was gonna ask you to stop by the grocery store and get, X, Y, Z,"
Yes.
and it would happen all the time.
Yeah.
That would happen all the
You're
time.
right. It's harder with like technology and stuff. Um,
Yeah, because now if I need him to stop and get, pick me up an onion or whatever on the way home, like just send him a text.
right.
Like I'm not gonna.
Exactly. Right. Bring an onion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I experience it, it's mostly with I'll think about somebody and then they'll call me every single
Ah.
time. They'll every or
Okay.
text every single time. So
Okay.
is it that I'm thinking about that person and I'm impressing that thought in their mind, or are they thinking
Mhm.
about me and then I'm thinking about I don't know.
Right. 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 Or are you just perceiving what's coming in the future, which is a phone call from this
I
person? Yeah.
right? Like who I don't know
Yeah.
what it is and it's weird sometimes, um
Yeah.
but it's kind of fun, so it's not scary. So I mean, honestly, it's one of
Mhm.
the least scary
No,
ones.
it's no, it's not. That's not scary at all.
So here's an exercise that you can do to practice telepathy. This is really actually really fun. So you can just get yourself a partner and prepare yourselves by meditating just to calm your body, and then just sit across from each other, just facing each other, and decide who's going to be the sender and who's going to be the receiver. And then the sender gets
Yes.
to decide just the details of the message. Start out easy,
Mhm.
like send your person like a picture of an apple in your head or something like that. I don't
Mhm.
know. And then when you're ready, transmit your message, and then, just think of it or visualize it traveling and reaching, your partner.
Yeah.
Keep trying, and when after you've sent it, have the receiver write down what perceived.
Mhm.
So compare notes and keep practicing. I think that would be really fun actually, and see how.
We have that
Yeah.
game, Medium.
Yep.
That's basically how it
Yes,
works. Yeah.
that would be. Where did we? What
Yeah.
you had that game? Did you buy that
I
game?
have
You
it.
have it.
I
Yeah.
have it. Yes. I'll bring it to
Okay,
retreat.
good. That will be actually really fun. Yay. Okay, see, 2 more spots, people. You're going to want to sign up for that. Okay, then there's trance mediums. And trance mediums, basically, that's the one that scares people the most. You blend with spirit at the
Yes.
physical level. It's the oldest method of spirit communication. It's often associated with seances. It actually
Yeah.
puts the medium into an altered state of consciousness, and then the changes to the appearance of the medium can happen. Facial
Yeah.
features, it's fucking weird. I saw it in person and I was like, what? But it's,
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, it was
Oh,
crazy. But it's not scary. It's actually,
yeah.
she looked like she had a light shining up from her lap on her face, but she
Mm.
didn't. That's how weird it was.
Oh, like Morticia in Adam's Family? That's how they like had her the whole time in the movie. They had like a light shining on her face and she looked kind of like, yeah.
Etheric, you know. Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what she looked like.
Huh.
So I don't know if it's spirit or light or whatever.
That's
And
interesting.
then other shit changes like tone and depth and dialect and accents and their personality and all this other stuff. So
Yeah.
it's just really super cool. Um,
When I had a really bad mushroom trip, I started speaking with a Spanish accent. It was weird.
you, for real? Were you
Yeah.
were you channeling somebody?
Yes, I think so. It was like channeling this young man and he was Spanish.
I I
Yeah.
mean,
It was weird.
when did that happen?
In Joshua
Oh,
Tree.
okay. Well, listen, we haven't
Yeah.
we haven't talked about Joshua Tree. She she's she's very private about her ceremonies, her private ceremonies, which is well you should be. Okay, so here's the other thing about the trans medium. A lot of people, you're working in partnership with the spirit, and so a lot of people think that it's about being possessed. But listen, I when I first knew I was a channel, I'm like, yeah, I'm not allowing the spirit to take over my body or anything like that.
Mm,
Like I fought
mhm.
it for a super long time, but then it's slowly, the more that you channel, you realize slowly it happens. So when full
Yeah.
channel, like during readings, I typically channel during readings. And spirit lets me
Mhm.
know that they want to talk with a simple interruption. Like I'll be talking to my client and then it's like spirit will sort of interrupt. It's not rude, it's just they just start talking and I realize, okay,
Okay.
these aren't my words anymore. So I stop and I let the client know, listen, what I'm about to say is from spirit. And then I just go back and I just let it rip. um, I rarely remember what's said specifically, but I do remember the overall message. It doesn't feel weird, it's not scary, it's not like I'm out of control or anything. It is
Yeah.
them speaking through me and I can feel that energy sort of shift. um
Mm.
and it's not scary. It is actually the most beautiful. It's like you trust this spirit guide or whatever. um they don't take it without permission. But it's just this
Yeah.
amazing beautiful energy of mutual trust. It's a loving relationship between spirit and the medium. And I always have control over everything. So if it's something, it's not necessarily trance because I'm not in a trance, but it's similar to it. Like if I keep practicing, I'll be able to do trance mediumship.
Yeah.
But if it's something that scares you or you want to do it, um, you know, try it, play with it, find
Yeah.
somebody that can walk you through it, and practice and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Trance mediums are channels. Speaking of, and so now we'll go into channeling super quick. There's
Mhm.
basically there's three types of channels. There's intuitive channeling. Um,
Uh-huh.
that's when you receive messages from spirit without full conscious awareness. Okay. Basically, spirit. Okay. So intuitive channeling is basically that's when you're talking to somebody and you say, I
Mhm.
had no idea where that came from.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So
Got it.
that's
Okay.
intuitive channeling.
Okay.
Um, we always have guides and angels around us and their guidance can just flow through us with our own thoughts and
Mhm.
consciousness. So that's why whenever anybody says, I don't know where that came from, or I don't trust myself, or I don't know why it's so hard. I mean, I struggle with it too sometimes, but I don't, now that I look back, I'm like, I don't know why it was so hard to learn how to trust myself, because that's true. That's what
Yeah.
happens. Spirit channels through you all the time. When you get in the groove, you're writing something, authors, or just you love to write, you'll get in that groove and it just flows through you. That's you intuitive channeling. Even if you're channeling your higher self, you're still channeling.
Yes.
Um,
Somebody was saying that the Ouija board is that's all you're doing when you're connecting to the Ouija board, that you're just connecting to your higher self.
I mean, if unless you're connecting to earthbound spirits, because the Ouija board is just another
Mhm.
form of divination.
Yeah.
I just think that it gives earthbound spirits a bigger opportunity to fuck with you, because they can move the thing like with a pendulum. It's like
Mhm.
left, right, yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then there's conscious channeling, which is you're fully conscious and present, but you sort of step aside. That's what I do when I'm reading is conscious channeling. I'm like, they want to talk, hold on, and then I'll let them talk.
Uh,
And then of course then
okay.
there's trance channeling. So like I said, now back to the everyday channeling, there's two types, and this is the most important part of this whole episode, I think, or the most interesting.
Uh-huh.
Is everyday channeling, there's two types, and it's either unassisted or assisted. So unassisted is when you're in that flow state, right? And you know what that is. You're in deep connection or concentration. It comes to you effortlessly. We're engaged in actions that drop us into the flow state. They're typically repetitive, that require our focus and attention. Um,
Uh-huh.
it's meditation.
Yeah.
It's automatic writing or journaling. Um, it's also channeled speaking, but again, it's that thing that comes out of you and you're like, I have no idea where that came from. Okay.
Mhm.
That is unassisted. Okay. But then there's assisted, where we actively say, okay, I need help. I need questions. I need answers. That sort of thing. Tarot and Oracle, the Akashic Records,
Mhm.
breath work and Reiki. You are a breath work facilitator. Do you ever experience like an altered state of consciousness with messages when you do breath work?
Yeah. Yeah. It's why I do breath work.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I will do breath work. Um, I'll do like three different like modalities, and then I'll just sit down and start writing in a journal.
Oh,
Yeah.
very cool. Well, that's assisted channeling.
Mhm.
So divination tools, that sort of thing. And then the other thing is, of course, my favorite, and the one that I do the most is using plant medicines, cannabis. And here's the thing about plant meds, which you'll learn more about these at the retreat, but every plant, every herb, every flower has an energy. It has a spirit. Every
Yes.
time we ingest our plant allies, there's an energy exchange, right? So it's simple. It's like working with your spirit guides as well.
Mhm.
A lot of people want to frown upon, and a lot of people in the holistic and spiritual community say, and this is a Buddhist tenet. So I'm not like slamming anybody and saying this is stupid, because
Yeah.
this is a Buddhist tenet that Buddhists believe that you should connect with clarity, void of any drugs or alcohol. And that's, that's their
Uh-huh.
belief. And, but so, plant medicines are a spiritual tool, just like every other divination tool we work with. But, you have to approach them from a different perspective because you're ingesting them, whether it's cannabis, psilocybin, whatever. When you incorporate those into your practice, you have to make sure that you have very clear intentions of what you need from it. Same thing
Yeah.
as with the tarot, you have to have like a question. Hey, tarot, I'm looking for
Mhm.
this. Same thing with plant meds. You can't just spark up and fucking, be like, I suppose you could, but use it intentionally.
But if you're using it, yeah, I mean, if you do it without an intention, you're probably not going to get anything out of it from what you would normally feel. I think what the point is if you want this to help you with channeling or mediumship, you have to set the intention before you ingest whatever the medicine is.
Yes. And, why do you want to use this? Do you want it to
Yes.
actually clear your headspace for deep meditation? Because that's why I use cannabis, because it takes me deep. I mean, I get deep into stuff. Um,
Hmm.
do you want it to gain insight and new perspectives? Do you want it to do you yourself, like Fiore's just said, want to become a clear channel for messages from spirit to come through? You have to have an intention when working with this plant ally energy, and the plant is like happy to
Yes.
help you. So really,
Hmm.
whatever you use, and there are several more that I'm not familiar with, so I'm not going to speak on them. But um, well, actually, you're very familiar with. So, what are the other plant meds that are out there?
I like to use hape or
Hmm.
rape to help just kind of it's a because it's super grounding. Like it is incredibly grounding. So that's generally what I use before sitting down and doing something like when I'm intentionally channeling, I'll do breath work, rapé, and then actually sit down and start writing whatever it is that I whatever's coming through. I don't necessarily set an intention as to like what I want to come through because that's too detailed. Um, with mushrooms, that's a different story. I don't necessarily ever set the intention of I've never set the intention of like I need to do XYZ with mushrooms because I with those plants, I feel like they have their own
Agenda.
energy
Yeah.
agenda and yeah, and it's like it's more of with them it's more about being open of like I am here to receive whatever lesson you are going to teach me, whatever lesson I need to learn.
Exactly. The
And
third
that's it.
one, do you want to become a clear channel for messages from spirit to come through? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So that I don't necessarily do anything except just be thankful and grateful for it
Hmm.
for showing me whatever it's going to show me, and that's it. But as far as daily use, it would be rapé.
Okay.
And what I like about it is that it's you don't get high like so you can just take time, maybe 30 minutes out of your day to like work with it and then go on about your day without having to worry about being impaired in any other
Girl,
way.
no, that rap had fucked me up. It like burnt my nostrils, and that was the whole weekend where that rap between rap and cacao. I'm like, I'm never doing any of that again.
Oh my god.
But repe, it does light you up in this really cool
Mhm.
way. It's just like whoa, like I felt
Yeah.
connected with everything like immediately all at
Yeah.
once. But you have to get used
Especially
to
if
it.
you're outside. Yeah, especially if you're outside. If you do it when you're sitting outside, as when you're done, you just smell all the plants.
Oh, I
All the
love
plants, like
that.
all the green. It's just like in your head. It's
Are you
cool.
going to
Yeah.
administer repe at the retreat?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'll have it and then I'll also have it available if anyone's having a hard time with mushrooms.
Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. Yeah. I love mushrooms. That's one of my favorites. But yeah, I'm excited. So whatever it may be, respecting and knowing what you need from your plant medicine, that's essential when you do any sort of
Yeah.
channeling or mediumship work. Now, here's the other thing. Working with it can take time, and it's not something that everyone should work with because
Yeah.
um, some plants, some plants ally they or some plant allies work better with different people. And
Yes.
cannabis is no different. Maybe it just means if it doesn't work for you or you don't like it or whatever, like with myself and cacao, it just means that there are
Mhm.
better alternatives for your practice or that you work better maybe with a clear mind, right? Maybe you are.
Yeah.
So I just know I really wanted to throw this in here because connecting with spirit and channeling and mediumship and all that stuff is really, really, really it's such a wonderful experience when you're using plant meds, but it's not for everybody. And I don't want it to be
Yeah.
demonized.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And we're not trying to say that it's required in any way, shape, or
Mm-mm.
form. It's definitely something that's very
Hmm.
personal. And if it works for you, if you're called to do
Yes.
it, if you're called to work with it, like do it.
Hmm.
But yeah, but we're not here to like give blanket statements
Mm-mm.
and say everyone should try it.
No.
No, no, because there are people that just don't react
Mm-mm.
well with certain plants. So yeah, maybe it's just some lavender and chamomile tea,
Yeah.
just a little bit of heart opening and peace in your life, and that's all you need.
Yep.
And that's I mean, if you have a problem with lavender,
I mean, you know, there's, yeah.
yeah, no,
But,
I mean, there's lots of
mhm.
plant allies that don't have any psychoactive effects
Mhm.
and stuff that you can work with.
Another way that you can use it too, in this falls under the same disclaimer of, find out if it's right for you, how well you react to it, is when doing shadow work. So
Yeah.
all of my shadow work, every single instance of shadow work is done under the guidance of cannabis for me. Every single one, and
Mhm.
every single time I come away from it knowing full well that I have just accessed and tapped into and potentially started the healing process for another layer of shadow. Um,
Yeah.
Especially any self-acceptance work and any
Yeah.
transformation work. Those two things, self-acceptance and then transformation, they're legit. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
actually talk a little bit more about that at the retreat. Shadow work,
Yeah.
um, and sort of incorporating that, not shadow work specifically, but
Mhm.
self-acceptance work and then transformational work. So
Yes.
that's one of the other
It's
things.
huge. It's huge.
Yeah, it's good. So anyway, so like I said, this was a super, super intro into mediumship and channeling. Now you have a really good idea of sort of what the mechanics of it are like.
Mhm.
I maybe I'll do another one later at some point, or a Zoom class or something. But right now, I just touched on it, and
Yeah.
so hopefully that gave everybody enough information to get started or move forward in another way.
Yeah. You know what I would like to do if when we do the next West Coast retreat? I would like to do an activation,
Yeah, yeah.
like a mediumship activation ceremony.
There is, I have two activations in my library that I've gone through at various points in my intuitive development career. One is
Uh-huh.
called a 12th dimensional activation, and the other
Uh-huh.
one is activating the Merkaba. Um, and those two work together. Oh, I'm sorry, there's also a Soul Star one. So those three,
Uh-huh.
there's some very powerful ones. So yeah, we'll look at those. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because that's what I'm feeling for the West
Is
Coast
that
retreat when we start to
like
do that.
intuitive
Yeah.
activation?
Yes.
Yeah, you actually do. You should be actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, you should be activated. So yeah, we can even do that over Zoom. So let's do one.
Mm-hmm.
See how you feel, and we'll talk about it. We can talk about it here with everybody and see how that turns out.
Yep.
But I know that
Yeah.
12D actually amped up. When I did 12D, it amped everything up for me. And then I
Mm-hmm.
did the Merkaba and I was like, whoa. And then once I did the Merkaba, I worked with that energy for a couple months and then I learned the Akashic Records. And from there, it was like,
Mm. Yep.
balls to the wall.
That's
So,
awesome. All right. Well, friends, that means it's time to say goodbye. You can find us on all the socials under Esoterics Podcast and catch us on Facebook, hanging out in the Esoterics Podcast community. And you can find that in Facebook groups. This is a safe place to ask questions on all things spiritual and everyday happenings, as well as start a conversation, post a fun meme, and engage in your spiritual practices.
you'll also find support and information for developing your own spiritual and intuitive abilities as well as your daily practices. You can always look on my the page on my website called Tools for the Modern Mystic, and then I always cross post those in the esoterics community on Facebook.
Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Stay mystical, magical, and don't let anyone tell you what to do.
Word.
Bye.